Top 10 Visitor Museum Tips and Suggestions. I created this video out of my experience of answering museum visitor questions. I would get asked the same question over and over. Please know that all thoughts, opinions, and ideas expressed in this video are my own, and any sources will be listed in the description. I am not sponsored, nor am I a representative of any museum or higher institution in any way mentioned in the video. I am using my past experience working in a museum to be educational. I hope to make this information into a book one day, so please see my website at the end for more information. The tips and ideas in this video are for partly doing some of this before your trip. If you are watching this at a museum, there are still helpful strategies you can use. I will try and give you helpful information so you can have an easier time during your trip to the museum. I will give information on tickets and ideas of what to do if you arrive too early and how to get the most out of your time at a museum. So please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Number 10, types of museums. The first question you want to ask yourself is what kind of museum you want to see. Museums can be on any subject and have any layout. I will go over a few popular ones here. Think of a science museum full of dinosaurs. If someone is going to visit a fine art museum, it has paintings and sculptures, not dinosaurs. So make sure it's the right location, as many museums in big cities are close together. Not all museums have to be large like the Metropolitan in NYC. Some of my personal favorites are house museums, a personal home turned into a museum. Whereas interactive museums are great for the summer and have more kid-friendly activities than a traditional museum. While these three definitions tell you the what a museum has inside, it will not tell you the layout of the place. That is for you to discover and explore. My advice is to wear comfortable shoes and be ready to walk. Ask where the stairs and elevators are depending on how you want to travel. An encyclopedic museum is the most likely museum that springs to mind when someone says museum. They are usually large institutions and offer visitors various information on local and global themes. They are the most thematically defined or specialized. This museum can house just art, historical objects, or both. Think of the Metropolitan in New York as an example. The following definition of a historic house museum comes from historyofmuseums.com. A house or building turned into a museum for various reasons, most commonly because the person living in it was important or something important happened. House museums are often equipped with furniture like it was when it was used. Visitors of the house learn through guides that tell the story of the house and its inhabitants. Interactive museums and immersive institutions. This art can be its own exhibit or a whole building. I do not believe there is a standard definition of what kind of art this is. Think of the sort that will get even non-art lovers in the door. This level of interaction is based on how much and whether or not visitors can touch the art. Think of photo or light projections on the walls. There are whole rooms to explore. Now let's explore a quick way to get the most out of your museum's website in terms of information. If you can explore this at home or a few hours before you visit, then this is where you can find information about things like hours of operation, ticket prices, and parking, plus what there is to see and do at the museum. Number 9, museum websites. Finding what you need can be a breeze, or it can be a bit difficult depending on how the website is set up, so feel free to take a screenshot of the following slides. Most major museums will have a collections tab, where they can tell you what they have. This section will cover both in-person and online tips. Use this as a chance to scope out the art before you go. Make sure the art you want to see is not an old post from 3 months ago. Check out that it is still at that location or Google where it will go next. Check the hours online on the official museum website. I cannot stress the importance of this simple and quick step. This will also help you find the best place to park in advance. I love Google too, but sometimes museums and websites and search engines do not communicate well with one another. Old web pages can pop up during your search and cause a problem. Just double check that the hours are correct on the museum's main page and use that to confirm the hours of operation, especially if there is a holiday. The museum website will or should have hours and parking information right on its homepage. Different museums will have a variety of layouts and may have more than one building over many blocks. Information should be under the About page or section. If you have arrived too early, here are some ways to pass the time. Visit any outdoor attractions they have to offer. Local sculptures, for example, if the weather permits. Need a coffee or restroom break? Check for a cafe. Grab a map from the museum on the way back from the restroom. It should be at the front desk or countertop. Download a digital map and take a seat. Use this time to see what else the museum has to offer. No matter its size, they will always have something good going on. Check out the movie theater or library if they have information about it. Another tip is to print out your tickets beforehand so you can skip some of the lines. You might have to get a tab or admission sticker at the desk from a guest services or staff member. This tells security that you are here to see the museum and have paid for admission. When most people think of museums, they tend to think of the Metropolitan Museum in New York. This colossal museum has multiple stories, floors, and everything to see. I had walked around there for a few hours for what I wanted to see when on a return trip I noticed the antiquities section was on the floor above and behind the ticket desk. It is important to note that museums frequently move their collections and particular art pieces. So now that it might be moved because you've wanted to see something. More significant museums might have the function I am about to mention. Smaller museums might not. Depending on the size of their collection, you might already have everything on display. If you can research what you would like to see before you get there, it will make the trip easier. For most museum websites, if you go to the About section on their webpage, you can click on Search the Collection. If for some reason this is not under the About page, it might be under a separate tab called Collection. Once you search the Collection tab, you can type in the name of the artist, time, or style you are looking for. This next part is vital as it will help students, teachers, and general visitors. Click on View for the tab or check the box. This lets you see what is currently out in the museum. Not all websites will have this feature. If new art is installed, it may have to be updated online. It is okay if you see more than one way to search for artwork. If you don't remember the time or name of the artist, that is okay. Not all information or options on the museum website will apply to you. The example you will soon see comes from the National Gallery of Art in Washington. Sometimes things will change once you're there in person. Use their map and find your way around, or you can ask for assistance. No matter what is happening, you can always ask for directions if you are unsure. Security guards get those questions all the time. If they're a smaller museum, most can recommend places to eat nearby, and if they're a big museum, they will have a place to eat inside. I know I talked a lot about big museums, but so many smaller ones are my favorite. What determines the size of a museum is their collection, for how many things they have on display. Take a screenshot of the following front desk questions that you will be able to ask. Don't forget to ask about wheelchairs and strollers. Number 7 is parking. The parking situation can vary depending on the museum you visit. Everything from a multi-story garage to doing simple parking lot for smaller museums. Some museums might have a distinct setup, so use Google Earth to your advantage. Check out the place before you go. Though you do not have to drive, I wish I had a better strategy to assist for parking, but for now I do not. I guess try and go early and get a good space. If you are walking up to the museum and have online tickets that you already have on your phone, go inside the museum if you are on foot. Do remember to stop by the desk and get admission tabs to show that you paid for tickets. If you're taking your bicycle to the museum, staff can tell you where to park and lock your bike. Note that some places near the museum, like an outdoor sculpture garden, will not let you put your bike inside the garden. If it rains, ask about inside storage or see if you can store it somewhere in a nearby parking garage. Staff can answer your questions. Rideshare. Just note the best pickup and drop-off points. You can always ask a staff member to help for later. Tell them you plan to use a rideshare so they can give you the best location. If you are still in the car and your driver gets me a request to this location, they may know a good pickup spot. If you're taking your car and you need to drop off family or friends, find a driveway. Your navigation application should help with this, just be aware of busy events nearby. Construction and the weather. If you're taking a skateboard or electric scooter, ask staff about storage and get a ticket to be able to claim your item later on when you're done. Use your backpack to store any part of your scooter you would like to protect. Your items will be cared for by museum staff in a safe location. Need a wheelchair? If you or a family member pulls up to the driveway, museum staff can direct you. If you're already inside, just let the staff know and they can bring one to you. They can also tell you about nearby ramp entrances for wheelchair users, whether manual or electric. Need tickets now and did not get them online? That is okay. See if they have a kiosk. They look kind of like an ATM machine. You do not have to be a member to print out tickets from here. Ask staff for help. If the machine is not working, you can get your tickets at the front desk. So then the next section is going to cover photography permits. This is the one that everyone wants to know. Lots of people want to take photos and videos to use for their own purposes for making money off of, like if you want to shoot videos for your YouTube channel or do photos for Instagram or something like that. No commercial photography can be done without a permit. A permit is a written warrant or license granted by one having authority. This must be approved by museum staff ahead of time. You aren't allowed to make any money from these photo or video shoots. Do not upload them to your website. This goes for video as well, as museum rules can apply to any museum, not just a fine art one. Fill out the online form a few weeks before your trip and get extra time if approved. Know your permit limits and do not go beyond them. Avoid including any brands in your photo or video shoot, as museums will not want to be associated with them on their property. Plan ahead, especially if you're from out of town. Please see the screenshots for the definition of what a permit is and what commerce is. Number 5 is bags, backpacks, and coat check. Backpacks are everywhere and are no longer used only by students. Museum security and guest services must deal with your choice of bag the most. Why this rule? To protect the art from getting damaged. I will do my best to cover the type of bags and how to wear them best. Remember always to follow the rules regarding your bag. It's not only to protect the art, but also the belongings in your bag. If museum staff hasn't already told you how to properly wear your bag while on museum property, feel free to ask. One of the options you can do is store your bag at coat check if you don't need to take it with you. Another option is off the shoulder if you want to keep your backpack mostly on your back. You might wonder why security asks you to wear your bag in this way. When you wear your backpack the traditional way on your back with both straps, you will increase the number of objects and people you can bump into. This is especially true if you have a bulky bag full of many items. Sculptures have been knocked over. It might be easier to lock up your backpack and items in the trunk of your car. If you feel uncomfortable with this, you can use the museum's coat check service. They will store your bag until you're ready to pick it up. Feel free to take your ticket with you and other items like your cameras or water bottle, and then bring your ticket back so you can claim your items at the coat check. Number 4 is the section on museum navigation. I was planning for this section to be a bit longer, but seeing as how museums are so diverse, I had to cut this section short as there are too many different factors to try and take into account for each museum. Museum navigation is one of the most important things a visitor and museum staff will deal with. I know you're watching this video for a special hack to navigation. I'm sorry, I don't have one. You can use the museum map online to study the layout beforehand. It would be really hard to list every museum and how to get around. It is important to note that museums frequently move their collection and a particular art piece. Just know that what you want to see may be moved or gone. Larger museums might have the function I am about to mention. Smaller museums might not. Depending on the size of their collection, they might have everything already on display. If you research what you would like to see before you get there, it will make your trip easier. So this example comes from navigating a museum website. For most museum websites, if you go to the About section on their webpage, you can click on Search the Collection tab. If for some reason it is not under the About page, it might be under a separate tab called Collections. Once you find the Search the Collection option, you can type in the name of the artist or style you're looking for. This next part is vital as it will help students, teachers, and general visitors. Go to Home, go to Art, and click on Collection. Click the On View tab or checkbox. This will let you see what is out in the museum and where the piece is located. So for example, if you're looking for a piece by Rembrandt, it will tell you the name of the artist, the piece, and then where it's located in the museum, usually a specific gallery number. It is okay if you see more than one way to search for art. It is also okay if you don't remember the name or time period of the artist. Not all search information or options on the museum website will apply to you. Sometimes things change once you get there in person. Ask a museum staff member if the item has been taken down. No matter what happens on your trip, you can always ask someone for directions. The second part to museum navigations will be some terms and situations. Some of the people you will encounter will be guest services, also known as membership. They will scan and sell you admission tickets, and they can also renew your membership. Please note that guest services is different from the parking garage individuals. The parking department, these are usually the people you call if the arm will not raise in the garage or if the machine will stop giving tickets to enter and exit the garage. Security are the guards and people you will be working with to give you directions, and they'll answer your questions. They help with lost and found items. They will tell you to check your bag or put away your coffee you were drinking before entering a gallery. Check the museum's calendar and website for tour information because you can speak with a docent, who is a museum tour guide. They're usually a volunteer, and they will be able to give you, in some instances, free tours around the museum. Remember to visit the gift shop before the cafe. That way you don't have to carry your purchases all over the museum. Now here's a quick note on how to read elevator buttons. Please note this does not apply to all elevators. B is for the basement. F is for first floor or main floor. G could be ground floor, or it could also stand for garden in case they have a sculpture garden. M is usually the mezzanine level. It's a partial story in between two floors of a building. Usually this is for staff and special events only. R would be for the roof level, and S would be for storage, although that would usually be museum access only. Number 3 is food and drink. Food and drink are both problematic for museums and visitors. Food and drink are not allowed inside museum galleries. Keep your drink in your bag if it is closed, like a water bottle. Find a bench in the main lobby to consume your drink, or go near the main entrance doors. Please stay away from the art. Depending on how long you will be at the museum, you have 3 options for your trip. You can eat before or after your trip. Security will gladly tell you about the rules. The second option, and my suggestion, is to have lunch in the middle of your trip halfway through, so that way you can take a break, plan out with your family and friends, look at the map, and finish up with what you want to see. The third option is to keep your admission tickets with you and any stickers or tabs that are on your clothing. If there is a nearby place, it can usually be a cheaper option. Then once you have finished, you can return to the museum, and you don't have to give up your parking space if you find a place that's close enough by. While you are walking around museums, the kind of drink container matters. Museum staff might be more lenient with you and will enable you to keep your beverage if it has a lid on it that closes, like a plastic water bottle. Those caps seal on and have minimal risk of spillage and leaks. Even so, disposable coffee cups with the kinds of lids they might not be good enough. So if any museum or staff member, especially security, asks you to put away your food or drink, please do so. You can make eating the meal the last thing you do before leaving the museum. Remember to visit the gift shop before the cafe. That way you don't have to carry your purchases all over the museum. Once you finish eating, you can take the leftover food and items out to your car. This is an excellent strategy to keep in mind if you're using a rideshare program and someone is going to pick you up. If you arrive at the museum and have a coffee, for example, and want to finish your drink, you can ask staff the best place to sit down so you can take your time and enjoy your beverage before the museum opens, as long as you stay in the cafe area. If you have a medical need to keep food or drink with you on your person, please let guest services and security know at the front desk. Number 2, kids and activities. Before you go, please check your museum's policy on strollers and wagons. Museums can make updates and changes about this at any time, and it helps to be informed. See the section on front desk questions. Museums market themselves as kid-friendly. All museums have designated areas for children to play in for daily activities. Well, most do. They have a temporary area set up off to the side. However, please note that not all museums are child-friendly. Their exception is a children's museum, whose equipment is made from kid-friendly material to play on. They have lots of activities and kid-friendly food. Over time, most museums have frequently had to make activities for children. Note that most of these are free, and that some might include advance tickets or a sign-up fee. The majority of them should be free, and you can join on the day of while you are in the museum. Science museums would have more of a designated area for children to run around in and let off steam. Please note that outside of this limited range, even if your child is involved in an art-making activity, for example, they still need to be on their best behavior, because they could be a few feet away from a work of art. Now, having said that, museums are wonderful places to take children. You know your child's best interest, so depending on their age and current interest, perhaps they would like to visit the museum's library or see a movie. The summer is a great time for kids' films. As a backup plan, you could get them a quiet activity like a book to read or a doll to play with to keep them occupied. If you haven't already brought something with you, you can pick something up at the gift shop. Museums typically release a calendar on their website and have frequent updates on social media about upcoming activities. Check ahead of time to see what is going on. You can also check your city's local website for free events with children. Museums and cultural centers are sometimes near parks. If the museum doesn't work out for your child and the weather permits, take them to the park for a while. It could be a good way for them to get sleepy, then you can hopefully return to the museum. Check the back of museum maps for rules. Number 1. Lost items or people. If you have lost an item such as a phone, purse, or wallet, speak with the nearest security staff member. Give the security member a description of the item you've lost. If it's your phone, tell them what color of case it's in, for example, what the background photo or lock screen looks like, and they can reach out to their supervisor to see if it has been turned in. Now, depending on how long ago you lost your item, one of two things can happen. Let's say, for example, that you've lost your phone. Stay with the security guard you are reporting this information to and do not walk away. Once they get in contact with their supervisor, if the item was lost a few days ago, if someone found it and turned it in, they will hold it for you. If the item has not been found, you can give the security guard or supervisor your contact information. If it is turned in, they can call you about your missing phone and tell you to come pick it up. If you lost the item recently, still have the security guard and supervisor take down your phone number and information. If you lost your phone, maybe they can contact you on your smartwatch. If only a few hours or even a few minutes have gone by, retrace your steps and see if you can find the lost item. Things can and do go missing in museums, so keep your things with you, especially if you are traveling abroad. If someone has picked it up and turned it in, it might be at a ticket or admissions desk. If this happens, a nearby security guard might not know when your item was turned in, so it doesn't hurt to check with the desk either. I suggest doing this first and then talking to security. Talk to museum security immediately if you have someone missing from your party. They will contact the supervisor, who will inform all museum staff within the security department about who to look for, and it would help if you could give them the following information: the name, age, and appearance of the individual. Are we looking for a child? Are we looking for an elderly person? Are we looking for somebody who is lost and confused? Describe to them anything that they are wearing or that they have with them, such as a backpack or light up shoes, if they have any known health concerns or any other important information to know about. Let security know about your child's personality and how they might interact when lost. Does your child tend to shy away from people if they feel uncomfortable, or would they be walking around the museum looking for you? Do they stay in one spot or try and hide? If you're at a big museum, describing what your child is wearing can help the museum use its security cameras to find your child as quickly as possible. Have someone in your party return to the last place they were in case the child didn't wander far away. Double check the restrooms as well. If a significant amount of time goes by and your child is not found, stay with security so someone can bring your child to you. Stay calm and cooler heads will prevail. In conclusion, I hope what you learned today was fun and informative. You made it to the end. I know I gave you a lot of information to consider. Usually for first-time museum visitors, the most challenging part will be the unique parking situation, the navigation of any museum, and getting tickets. As you learned in the video, there is more than one type of museum to visit. You do not have to see them all on the same day. That makes for a very overwhelming and busy experience. Use the museum website beforehand and do your research. Explore the website and see what the museum has to offer. Check to see if the items you want to see are on view or now showing. Make a list of questions on your phone for the front desk. Check what day has free admission or discounted admission. If you want to become a member of the museum, they can help you sign up. You do not have to, but you might consider it if you visit museums frequently. Use Google Maps or your favorite navigation service to plan your route. Use Google Street View to get a feel for the building's appearance and parking setup. This way you know what to look for as you drive around or get dropped off. This information can help your rideshare driver. Get a photo permit ahead of time and make sure your camera's flash is off, and get the help of a well-organized friend if you need to plan a photo shoot. Ask for more time than you need in the paperwork to cover unexpected surprises. Check your bag at coat check if they have one. No need to carry all of your things around. Pack light before your trip and store things in your car. Need time to study the map? Take a seat on a bench or in the cafe and figure out where to go next. You can write on the paper map. It is all yours after all. Cross off what you have seen and mark where you want to go next time. I used to tell visitors to mark where they parked on the map so they have an easier time finding their car. Please follow all the rules regarding foods, drinks, and bags. I know it's up to you when you feel the best time is to eat in regards to your trip. I do, however, suggest eating halfway through your trip. Rest in the cafe and get your bearings again. Finish up the second half of the museum and it makes your trip easier and you could have a better time and didn't have too much to do. There are activities for kids to do in the museum, it just depends on which one you go to. Don't forget to see the movies and library as well and explore the gift shop. Ask security for any help with a lost item or person as soon as possible. Please note that all thoughts, opinions, and ideas expressed in this video are my own, and any sources will be linked in the